Things are not going so smoothly for President Biden, who seems like he just cannot catch a break from all the bad headlines. Multiple reports painting a bleak picture for the Democrats as Americans struggle with historic inflation and raging gas prices. Biden's aides are reportedly frustrated with his inaction on policy initiatives like student debt forgiveness and China tariffs, saying that they need to notch a win ahead of the midterms. And the once background whispers on whether Biden should run again are now front page screaming headlines. Democrats openly worried about his age and low approval. Adding to the president's misfortunes are these optics. President Biden taking a spill after he tried to get off his bike in Delaware. The president, thankfully, he's okay. He was back on the beach getting defensive as more economists warn a recession could be coming.
I promise. Recession's even more likely than ever.
Not the majority of them aren't saying that. Come on, don't make things up, okay? Now you sound like a Republican politician. I'm joking. That was a joke. But all kidding aside, no, I don't think it is. I was talking to Larry Summers this morning, and there's nothing inevitable about a recession. I'm working with our teams put together at the same time. My dear mother used to have an expression, out of everything lousy, something good will happen if you look hard enough for it. We have a chance here to make a fundamental turn toward renewable energy.
Greg, I was thinking about you. I think we have the same problem. You know what it's like when your feet don't touch the ground on a bike?
Yes.
And then you stop and you can't get off gracefully? Maybe that happened?
He's a tall fella. Generally, bikes are tricky, though. Generally, though, you should pedal them. And if you stop pedaling, you will fall over. This is just something that you learn, hence the training wheels. Simple step, when you stop pedaling, you put your feet on the ground, you're safe. But it's not a big deal. It's just that in fact, it's not a big deal at all. It's just that you have this inclination for payback because you had a 48-hour news cycle about Donald Trump shuffling down a thing with his new shoes. And so it's like you just want to do it. I'm happy that he didn't leave his bike anywhere. I mean, Hunter left his laptop, then his wife left a gun, and then his other daughter left a diary. At least he picked up the bike. But the biggest crime here, and I think it's pretty obvious to the viewers at home, it has nothing to do with his bike. It's his popped-up collar. I mean, he's become the Jesse Waters of presidents. Seriously, look at this. How cheesy is this? What's next? Is Joe going to take off Fridays to nurse his back? Is he going to eat food that belongs to the staff? Hey, is that pizza that I didn't pay for? Is he going to blame his assistant for everything? This is a sure sign that this presidency is over.
It's certainly looking that way.
Wow, I did not see that coming on a Monday afternoon. Thank you, Greg.
The other thing, Jess, before you respond to those attacks, instead of just letting the embarrassing moment go, right? Like if your president is on a bike that comes to a standstill and he falls over, just take the L for the day. You don't have to get on Twitter and then start saying, but Trump. It just doesn't make you look good. And the other thing is they were trying to show vim and vigor.
Right.
And so they put him out there on the bike on a 4-day weekend when everybody else across America is worried about inflation and gas prices. Every weekend, it's a 4-day weekend for them at the beach.
Permission to speak on behalf of the American people? Oh. All right. Everybody wants our president to look good in public. We don't live in Greece. We have high expectations for presidential performance. We like our presidents to have good hair, a little quick wit, some swagger. So we want someone to look good on television. We liked it when Barack Obama played full-court pickup basketball. We liked it when Trump hits it right down the middle. We like it when Bush throws it right down the middle, or when Bill Clinton puts his little short shorts on and goes jogging for God knows who what. But you have to be also handsome. Like when JFK was very handsome, Reagan was very handsome, movie star. And then we've also had war heroes. So when you get out there and you fall off a bike, that is unacceptable to the American people.
It is.
We are aghast. And in a sense, we also pity the president. And I don't want to pity the president. That makes my job harder. I like to despise the president. This is not a good emotion for me. Internationally, this is humiliating. You can hear Trudeau snickering if you point your ear north. Almost as bad as Barack Obama bowing to the Saudi king. At least Barack didn't fall on his face when he did it. Content is king. And the White House has to keep pushing out positive content. And what have we gotten that's seared into the minds of the American people? A chaotic evacuation from Afghanistan, a president that has a mask on his face all the time, Kamala cackling empty store shelves, the price of gasoline on every single corner in the country, just reminding us of how bad this guy is. Now, he gets up from the fall and he says to the reporters, "I'm fine." And the reporters print the story, "Joe is fine." Joe is not fine. Nothing is fine. This guy's had 2 aneurysms before he became president. He broke his foot last year. He's fallen twice. Son's corrupt, under investigation. He's the worst polled president in the history of presidential polling. And we're sliding into a recession. Permission to make an analogy.
Sure.
It's like dating
How can I stop you?
It's like dating a girl.
Okay.
Ready? Sex is terrible.
What?
Your family and friends hate her. You guys get into fights all the time, and your bank account's been drained ever since you met her. You walk over to her apartment to break up with her, and she goes, "Oh, what are you doing? Everything's fine." No, everything is not fine. Joe Biden is a clueless mess, and this is not good. This is as close to a constitutional crisis as we've ever had.
Permission withdrawn.
That was one of the greatest monologues in the history of television.
I've had better during impeachment, I think.
So, Harold, the one narrative.
You call on me?
Yeah, but I'm changing the subject. I'm changing the subject.
Tell to skip over to the judge. I mean,
Here's the thing that I think is amazing. That the one narrative that's starting to stick is that they don't have any new ideas. And all of his people talk like academics who are just basically throwing a weird slogan against, well, here's a montage, if you could pull it up. This is their new line on the spin the wheel of what we're going to say this weekend. It was that a recession is not inevitable. Here we go.
Chair Powell has said that his goal is to bring inflation down while maintaining a strong labor market. That's going to take skill and luck, but I believe it's possible. I don't think a recession is inevitable.
Not only is a recession not inevitable, but what we as policymakers can do is take steps to build on our unique strengths in the American economy and try to get to that stable and steady growth that we all want to get to as quickly as possible.
Inflation obviously is happening globally. A recession is not inevitable. The president really wants to have.
What do you think of that, Harold? It's the recession is not inevitable is the selling point. But that means that you have to do something to make it not inevitable.
So the presidency is an office as designed and intended by the framers to be an office of action. So some of the frustration, and that was a highly interesting monologue by my pal Jesse there just now, calls for the president to act. So I hear you. If I were the president, and since some around the table quote Larry Summers often, Larry Summers is one of those economists who said that he thinks a recession is not inevitable. So we can't quote him when he's in favor of some things we like and then ignore him otherwise. But if I were the president, I'd convene the oil executives and stop attacking them. You can't go to Saudi Arabia to see MBS and others, I think rightly so, to talk about oil production and at the same time vilify our own oil companies. I'd bring them together and say, how can we work together? I'd bring together mayors of 20 to 25 cities, including Boulder and Baltimore, Denver, Phoenix, Atlanta, Memphis, saying, how can we invest in your cities to be better supply chain supporters as we try to wean ourselves off of some of this dependency that we have around the globe? These are some of the things that I think not only optically, but I think substantially are going to help lower inflation going forward. And then, as I've said all along, the crime and border, I think you pointed out, Dana, last week, that race in Texas, the biggest race in a long time where the Republican beat the Democrat in the Hispanic district,
and
a Democrat who switched Republican. And then you have the recall in San Francisco around crime. I'd focus on acting and using this office. The president, as much as we may criticize him, the generic polls last weekend on Fox said 47 to 44 Republican versus Democrat. That's down for Republicans than it was a few weeks ago. I don't know what's happening, but something is. But that does not negate the fact, some of the points in Jesse's monologue, that you got to act.
You actually but you have all these Democrats now who are openly saying he should not run again in 2024.
Yeah, they're openly saying it because they don't want to lose, because they know he's nothing more than an anchor around their neck. But, you know, I like everything that you say, Harold, but here's the problem. We have a president of the United States who doesn't know how to lead. So he doesn't know how to do all those things that you suggest that he does. Look, what we've got is an administration that is doing nothing but siding with the president and going on national television and lying to us about the economy, about inflation. Now, you think I want to listen to Janet Yellen? She's the one who said inflation was transitory. You think I want to believe her now when she says that a recession is not inevitable? Okay, so you got Powell and Yellen and Deese, and then Joe Biden comes out and he says, oh, no, recession is not inevitable. I just got off the phone with Larry Summers. Yeah, and what did he tell you? That you're losing or that the recession is coming? So this administration gives absolutely no evidence of what they are going to do to prevent this recession from coming. All they do, they're like a bunch of little girls who are in school and say, just say this, just tell them you say this, just say this. They all say the same thing and act as though it's the truth. It's not the truth. And the American people know inflation is at 8.6%. The feds are raising the interest rates. Consumers are not as interested as they were in purchasing. And what we've got is 1 quarter of negative GDP, and we're coming to the next quarter. And what is Biden's answer? He is so clueless, that man, that he segues to electric vehicles. They ask him about the recession. He talks about electric vehicles. I don't know any veteran. I don't know any senior citizen. I don't know anyone who's working paycheck to paycheck, which is a big piece of this country, who has $60,000 to buy an electric car. Right. He is tone deaf. Everything he says is not accurate in terms of this economy, and he can't lie his way to the next election. You just can't. American people are too smart.
And we're going to talk about crime next, because the crime chaos is leaving a trail of destruction in several Democrat-led cities. Over the weekend, we have updates.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.